And we are live. Friends, welcome to Central Florida Weather Live, the show for this Friday, April the 11th. Humbly your host, Rusty McCranie, with you here. Good to see you on this Friday. Hey, coming up in this live stream, we're going to be talking about getting a cold front to work into Central Florida very late tonight and overnight, the opportunity for some showers and storms to come along for the ride, and then we are going to get some much cooler weather to drop in behind that. As always, Central Florida Weather Live is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover the Panhandle all the way down to the Keys, the entire state, guys. Anything that could impact you or your property. So if we get some hail damage that comes in, hurricane season causes damage to your home, you have a burst pipe, or even been in an auto accident, they walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. If you would like more information, you see their logo right below me. Go to leanonmelaw.com. Great to see you guys on a Friday. Hello, Sen. Good afternoon to you as well. Yes, it wasn't that long ago that I had a little bit of coffee, so I'm with you on that. Definitely need my perk. So we're going to be getting into kind of what's going to be happening here with a changing forecast. We do have a front coming in with the opportunity for some showers and storms. You can clearly see some cooler weather here. Now, it's going to be an absolutely beautiful remainder of our Friday afternoon. I've got our visible satellite imagery up there for you live right now. And I would expect a few fair weather clouds to roll into the area later in the afternoon, but otherwise we're going to have an absolutely fantastic afternoon. Now, we started off the day going back to 7 a.m. with some temperatures in the 50s, and we are going to have some more mornings with temperatures back in the 50s as well. It was in northwest areas. Crystal River 55, Ocala in at 54. It was 65 in Orlando, 63 in Sanford, 64 in Tampa. And again, it's been a beautiful warm up for today as well. Right now, most of us, 79 seems to be the pretty common number. And notice that winds are somewhat light and variable right now. You're going to have a touch of a south wind from time to time, especially along our east coast. That's what we're seeing in Titusville and Daytona. But I come over here towards Tampa, you know, again, a southwest wind is kind of generally going to be the case for today, but light and variable conditions. That being said, behind this front, winds are going to be picking up, and it is going to be a breezy day ahead for us here into our Saturday and early on Sunday as well. I'll throw on the 10-meter winds. These are going to be your surface winds. They'll pop up in just a second for you here, but you're not going to see a lot in the way of any big-time arrows here, right? Again, the smaller the arrow, and I'll make them a little bit bigger, but the smaller the arrow, it just means that they're not as strong the winds. When the winds get stronger, those arrows will be bigger and they'll turn colors. That's what that indicates. And you can see that as I take you up into portions of the southeast and the Carolinas where they have nice cloudy skies, winds are really beginning to freshen there as this front begins to move in. Let me show you the composite radar right now out of this area over the last few hours. Now, we had big time hail in portions of Kentucky and Tennessee last night. Absolutely monster hail, well over golf balls. Do you guys see this spin? Very clear here, right? Plenty of spin in the atmosphere, mid-level area of low pressure there. I'll put on the centers and the fronts, so those will pop on. So what we have is a boundary up here that's beginning to slip off towards the south. Now, the interesting thing is that there's actually two boundaries associated with this system. You have kind of the initial front coming in and then a reinforcing shot of some cooler and drier air. But this is the strongest area of low pressure over the eastern sides of North Carolina, and it is tapping into some moisture coming out of the coastal waters of the Atlantic, and it's going to be very nasty weather for portions of I-95 from the Raleigh area north, especially into Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula in general, and Philadelphia. Now, on the back end of this is what we're going to get, and showers and storms will work their way in behind that as well. The risk of severe storms for today, it's marginal at best, but it does include some of our area. And again, I want to be very clear about this. This risk is like, you know, late this evening, maybe not even until midnight, and then through the wee hours of our Saturday morning. So this is not going to be impacting any plans for the remainder of the daylight hours. I can't rule out the storms maybe getting to I-10 right around sunset tonight, but for our marginal risk areas, which does sneak down to Orlando, so it's a good chunk of our CFLW area here. It includes basically all of Volusia County, most of Seminole, the far northwest sides of Orange County, so, you know, Winter Garden, Nicoya, Apopka, Zellwood, Wekiva Springs area, most of Lake County, Claremont North, Sumter County, most of Pasco County, a very small sliver of Hillsborough County, northern Pinellas, then all of Pasco, Citrus, Levy, Marion, Alachua, Putnam, Flagler counties as well. There's not going to be much of a difference. I want to be clear about that. I mean, the dark green could go all the way down. The storms, just like about the past 4 or 5 times, should be losing some of their oomph as they try and get into our area tonight. It's a timing thing again. We've lost the heat of the day, so we're not going to have the most instability in the atmosphere as this system wants to pull into the area. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you would like to, just like Sin, let me know in the comment section below how you're doing. This is why I do this live. Would love to interact with you. You got a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. While you're down there, thank you very much for liking this video. Now, we do have problems when it comes to the fire threat today. We have a red flag warning that goes until 7 o'clock. And that is, again, the elevated fire threat, because guess what? Winds are going to start to freshen as this front approaches, and relative humidity values are relatively low. So it's a good chunk of our area. So again, west to southwest winds freshening through the day, especially late afternoon, up to 15 to 25 miles an hour. Now, that's not outrageously high, right? But the problem is that the relative humidity values, as the temperature is warm and our moisture content stays about the same, the relative humidity gets lower. Now you're down to 30 to 35% in some of these areas. So the problem is that any fires that develop are going to spread rapidly. And again, this is a good chunk of our area: Volusia, Lake, Seminole, Northern Brevard, Orange, Osceola, and Polk counties. But again, just keep it in mind. I wouldn't be doing any outdoor burning. As the front arrives and the winds pick up, you already have some special weather statements for small craft advisories offshore. You've got the beach and the rip current statements here for portions of the West Coast. And we could see some small craft advisories into our area as we get into Saturday as well. But again, don't be doing any outdoor burning. There's no doubt about that. What do you say we take a live look to our cameras here? If you are new to CFLW, we've got ourselves a network of cameras and we continue to expand those, but we'll start off live right now in Conway. This is just southeast of downtown Orlando, looking over Lake Conway. This camera is looking off towards the east, and what an absolutely pristine shot it is today. Again, you're going to be hard pressed to find any clouds in Central Florida at the hour, but we'll start to see some of these clouds fill back in as our cold front begins to arrive into the area. But for right now, not only is it sunny, but the winds are lighter. This is the better part of the afternoon, I would say, in general here. And of course, when we go over the weekend, I've got some forecasts to get over for you guys as well. We'll look at some forecasts there. You're not going to find a cloud in the sky in Winter Garden. What an amazing shot here. Looking west from the western sides of Orange County, not a cloud in the sky here. What a beautiful day. But again, you know, one reason why we don't have clouds is there's very little moisture content in the low levels of the atmosphere here in Central Florida, which is why the fire threat is going to be an issue for the afternoon hours until the early evening. Another beautiful shot from our near Disney camera. Again, this shot is just 1 mile from the Magic Kingdom and the Disney property. We're looking back south and west towards the Magic Kingdom there. Again, if you have plans to go to the attractions later this afternoon, maybe even stick around for the evening and the fireworks, the weather's going to be just fine. Again, this front is not going to be impacting us that early in the day. Would expect the front to arrive much later, and I'll show you that coming up here. We'll take a look at the models for you guys, get you prepared for the timing of the showers and storms that'll be working its way into the area. Go back over here just to the SPC risk, because really what I want to do here is bring back on our drought monitor. So that should pop on here momentarily. And again, we've got an update, and it's not good, right? We continue to fall deeper into a drought. Now, some of Osceola and Southern Brevard and Indian River County are not, but anywhere that you see the brown is considered to be abnormally dry. The yellows is a slight drought, right, or a moderate drought, and the oranges are more of a dangerous extreme drought. The problem is that, again, most areas have had right around 50% or less of their rainfall total average since October. We've just been very dry as we got into fall. It's been a very dry winter. It's been a very dry early start to our spring. spring. And before the wet season and our sea breeze storms kick in, this is when we battle the dry weather and the fire season, right? And the question is just how long will it be until we start to get these sea breeze storms set up? And a lot of years, it's not until late May. You know, we have 5 or 6 weeks until we start to get into, you know, when it could. Now, it could arrive as early as the second week of May. That obviously happens from time to time, and we may be, you know, around a month away from that. But this part of our year, right, mid-April to mid-May, is crucial to continue to get cold fronts to move in with some showers, because other than that, we really have no chance for rain in the area. That's the problem until our sea breeze storms kick in. It is, you know, one of the things here that we have in Central Florida. Winds right now are relatively light, right? But again, the gusts are beginning to pick up as the front moves in. You can clearly see some, you know, 25, 30 plus mile an hour wind gusts near Birmingham, down towards Montgomery, Atlanta, Georgia, strong winds along the coastline of North Carolina. So that's all going to be headed our way here with this boundary. All right, so let's get into it here. Let me just make sure there's no watches out or anything like that. I wouldn't expect there to be any severe weather watches right now. We don't really have any issues at this point in time. Water vapor imagery, by the way, will show you again where that moisture is. You can clearly see that. No, I do not want to drop and drag. Nice little ribbon of drier air in red. There's the moisture with that mid-level low, and it's just going to kick some energy in. And, you know, again, as temperatures are warming up here, we'll have enough instability to pop off some of these storms. So let me bring up the HRRR model. And that all looks good. And this will take us into Sunday morning, which is plenty of time to track these showers and a few storms in our area. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if you haven't as of yet as well. So looking at our high resolution rapid refresh, we're going to be watching a line of showers and storms come in. I want to be clear. There's a pretty good chance that your area is going to get some rain either late tonight or overnight, but by daybreak tomorrow, this should all be out of the area, and winds turn out of the north, and it actually leads to a beautiful, cool, and even lower humidity forecast. Hopefully, we're not going to have to deal with any more fire threats with this. Hopefully, with the temperatures being a little bit lower, we're going to have a little bit more in the way of higher humidity values. So here's 8 o'clock tonight. As I mentioned, I can't rule out the line making Jacksonville, Lake City right around sunset tonight. But for our area, you notice that it's going to be, again, 10, maybe 11 o'clock before they move in. Now, again, the HRRR has some showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. There is that marginal risk. It's something that I'm not extremely concerned about. I can't rule out an isolated stronger storm, maybe one that gets winds to 60 miles an hour and produces a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's not top of mind for the most part, right? I think this is going to be, you know, rain, breezy conditions, a few isolated storms, and you can see the progression of this on the HRRR model as we go overnight. So here's midnight, kind of getting towards Daytona and Ormond Beaches, Deltona, Sanford, Oviedo areas, Altamont Springs, Baldwin Park, down towards Orlando, the I-4 corridor, just after midnight, moving east through Brevard County. Certainly some showers will try and still develop and bring some rain to St. Pete and Tarpon Springs and Tampa and Hudson and Spring Hill. And again, this rain as we get past about 6 a.m. should be out of here. And then we're going to have dry conditions beyond that. So it is a fast-moving shot of showers and an isolated storm, but most of you should be asleep by those hours and probably not potent enough to wake you back up. But again, you know, if you have a weather radio, could you get a special weather statement or a severe thunderstorm warning? It's possible, but I think the chance is relatively low. So again, that's what it looks like on the HRRR model. Before I switch over to show you the NAM real quick, I am going to bring on the 10-meter winds associated with this, because this is going to take us out to Sunday morning. So I want to just mention, I told you that the other story with this is going to be the winds. Winds on Saturday will turn back out of the north. That's going to bring in that cooler, drier air, but they're also going to be freshening up. And that's why, especially along our coastlines, we could have some small craft advisories, because we're going to have some 20 to 25 mile an hour winds from time to time, especially on Saturday. Winds might still be a little bit brisk into early Sunday morning, but I would then expect the winds to calm down as we get into Sunday afternoon. And Monday looks absolutely picture perfect as well. So hopefully this thing will fully load up here in just a second, and then we'll take a look at that. Yep, I think we got it fully loaded up now. So I'll stair step it here, let it go by one more time. Again, strongest winds, by the way, could have that mid-level wrap up right here. These pinks are 25 plus mile an hour sustained winds. So that's what I'm talking about as the showers and storms move in very late tonight and early tomorrow morning. Winds of 20 to 25, but some higher gusts associated with that. Winds are going to turn out of the north, and they're going to stay that way as well. Now, freshest winds into Saturday should be along our east coast, but kind of an onshore breeze here for the Nature Coast back down towards Tampa Bay. And then the winds just stay north the rest of our Saturday, you know, and generally still north as we get into early on Sunday morning as well. And that's going to be pulling in some cooler air. It's not going to be outrageously cold, but it is going to feel very nice outside. The humidity should be very, very comfortable. All right, so let me go back here and then show you guys just one other model as kind of an idea, right? I kind of like to give you guys some differences. I'm going to take off the winds because I think there's not really much of a difference there. And let's see, we don't need to go out that far. Let's just go into Sunday morning. All right, so this is the NAM 3-kilometer model. It's another high resolution model in the short term that I can show you guys. Of course, I have the GFS as well, but these are a little bit more higher resolution models. I've got other ones too. We don't really talk about them as much, but I've got the high res HWRF. We've got the national blend of models. I've got the WRAP. You know, I go and I look at most of these before I come on the air and get an idea of the consensus. But generally speaking, this is the NAM. It looks very similar to the HER, doesn't it? With storms, again, along and just south of I-10 as we get into 8 o'clock. So Jacksonville, close to St. Augustine, and then maybe Cross City and Perry. And then here you go, 11. So 10 to 11, Gainesville, Ocala, Palm Coast, Crystal River, Inverness, the Villages, Spring Hill, Holiday. Notice that the NAM has a little bit more rain down in Tampa, and I think this line will be broken, but it should hold up enough where it's not like it's just going to be, you know, central and east. We should have a few showers and storms along the west coast as well. Here you go past 1 a.m., about the same timing as the HER model, into the 2-3 a.m. time frame down in Brevard County, and then we're dry after that. So there's not much of a difference. We like to see consensus when it comes to these models, right? Not much of a difference in the timing and the intensity. Again, showers, isolated storms, can't rule out a strong storm, a very low end chance for a severe storm, but it's not out of the question. Main threats would be some winds associated with that. All right, let's get into the forecast, guys. Here's what it looks like. We'll start off with Orlando. And as we do so, I'm gonna take a quick drink of water. Start off with Orlando. Now again, by the way, as I get into this, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. Remember, when I get done with this live stream, it gets archived under the live tab of the CFLW YouTube channel. And a lot of you do watch the quote unquote recorded version sometime later in the day, even the next day. I get an idea of like the view count, and some of you watch it past 24 hours, which is fine because this forecast does last good 72 hours plus, which is why I do this 2 days a week. But if you have a specific question about the forecast, and even if you're watching this in the recorded version, let me know in the comment section below. I go back and check things, happy to answer those questions. The weekend does look great. Again, I don't have the rain chance in here because it gets out of here by 3 a.m. So there's no real appreciable rain by the time we all wake up on Saturday. We'll probably start off with some clouds, but those north winds coming in should dry things out quickly. And really by the afternoon hours, even though we'll start off partly sunny or mostly sunny, I think we will end the day basically with what we're seeing right now, and that's almost 95% sunshine across the area. But it will be cooler. How about tomorrow, 77, the daytime high? It's gonna feel really nice if you wanna be outdoors. It gets even cooler to kick off Sunday morning in most areas. We're at the double nickels here in Orlando to kick off Sunday, 79 the daytime high, and an absolutely beautiful day. Winds turn back out of the south on Monday. Here comes the heat, the humidity, and again, we'll have to watch out for the potential fire threat, depending on how much rain we get out of this, but I'm not expecting it to be much. So sunny and warming up, 56, still a cool morning low, maybe a windbreaker start to the day for most of you. If you're heading out to an early morning church service on Sunday, you're playing around a golf on Saturday, getting the kids out to school early Sunday, but it's one of those split days that I'm not going to be sending my kids to school with a jacket because we're up to 86 for the daytime high. That's a nice 30-degree temperature climb in Orlando for our Monday. If I do this, I hope it's going to work. Okay, great. St. Pete, let's talk about this. The breezy conditions along the Pinellas County coastline, 15 to 25 mile an hour winds with higher gusts Saturday. Once again, they'll start partly sunny, should end the day sunny as well. 75 the daytime high, beautiful. 60s for morning lows in these areas here across the St. Pete Clearwater area. St. Pete Beach included in this. Beautiful Sunday afternoon. Again, you know, maybe it's not the warmest of beach days, but it's not bad, up to 79. And then warmer on Monday afternoon, they'll get up to 82 for the daytime high. Let's go up to our friends in Flagler County along the East Coast. For our friends there in Palm Coast on over towards Beverly and Flagler beaches. Again, beautiful day. That should not say 90%. Sorry about that. That should say 0. I have no idea how that got past me. Apologize for that. I just blocked that out. Obviously, sunshine is not going to lead to a 90% chance for rain. But look at these temperatures in Palm Coast. 54 the morning low tomorrow. Again, a little bit of cloud coverage to start the day. Should be full sunshine by the afternoon. Breezy and cooler. Again, 15 to 25 mile an hour winds, but some gusts along the Flagler County coastline could reach 30 miles an hour on Saturday afternoon. Winds will be much lighter Sunday, and it's just going to be a beautiful day, but they're going to start off at 52 degrees. Look, like Bunnell, inland areas of Flagler County, inland areas of Putnam and Marion counties, especially up towards Alachua and Gainesville, it can dip into the 48, 49 degree range on Sunday morning. It is not out of the question there, but it warms up nicely in the afternoon. 75 Sunday afternoon, 54 Monday morning, but up to 82 degrees for a daytime high. Again, most areas from their morning low on Monday will warm up about 25 to 30 degrees. Outside of coastal areas, you can see the difference there in Melbourne because they're just going to stay milder overnight. Again, clearing skies there in Melbourne. That's an area, Brevard County, that could start off with a little bit more cloud coverage in the morning and then end the day mostly sunny. Breezy conditions along the Brevard County coast against small craft. Just keep an eye out for the forecast. We could have some small craft advisories issued, especially for coastal waters. 76 the daytime high, 57 the morning low on Sunday. Plenty of sunshine up to 77. Then 60 the morning low on Monday, up to 80 degrees for the daytime high on Monday afternoon. Blue Goose, how you doing? Good to see you. 80 degrees, a 39% humidity afternoon. Beautiful in St. Augustine. Hello to you. Sin says, yes, the weather is amazing today. It really is. A beautiful forecast. We'll get hopefully a little bit of much needed rain without the nasty weather overnight. And then we're back into a beautiful weekend forecast as well. So again, we desperately need the rain, but outside of it, you know, if we get some nicer weather, we'll take that as well. All right, so let me get back over to the weather computer for me here. Give me just 1 second to slip that up from our, what we were looking at there. I'm gonna bring back on the infrared satellite imagery. I tell you what, I'm gonna bring back on the visible satellite imagery. It's just gorgeous. Again, fair skies right now, 50s and 60s to kick off today, but plenty of sunshine. You can clearly see what this spinny low is doing right now. And some of the streets of clouds it's going to be diving down. So, you know, by the evening hours, we'll start to cloud back up as the system begins to work its way into the area. Now, when it comes to the risk of severe storms, this is tomorrow. It's gone, right? It's out of the way. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit of a quieter pattern here. And then into Sunday, it stays up to the north. That's, of course, drying out. When we take a look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, right? So again, this is not taking into account days 1 to 5. This is going to be like, you know, late week and into Easter weekend. There is appreciably cooler air east of the Mississippi, but especially into portions of the Ohio Valley, some of the mid-Atlantic states, and into the Northeast. That colder air continues to just kind of dive down through the Southeast, but we actually are in gray, which means we have an equal chance of our temperatures basically being right about where they should be as we get into Easter weekend, okay? But one thing that I don't expect us to see is to get back into the 90s anytime soon. Now, early next week, and we'll talk about it on Monday's show, we could peak, you know, with some pretty good 80s out there. And, you know, I can't rule out a 90, but in a general sense, we're going to be staying below average. The hot weather with a big dome of high pressure, big ridge in the west, trough in the east, and it's a very amplified one, right? You don't get these almost north to south lines on this unless you have a huge ridge that builds up here and just plummets down. Sometimes, you know, these are a little bit more in the way of west to east, but this is a very amplified pattern here, which is actually going to keep especially the Northeast and the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest and the Ohio Valley wet and cold for mid-April. right? And we even had a little bit of snow that developed there yesterday. Not a lot. It was mixed in with some rain, but getting some snow accumulations is not out of the question. So when we look at the rainfall, right, you can see that the average chances are here, some wetter in the northeast, but despite the fact that we are cooler or right about average temperature-wise, unfortunately, the dry weather continues for us here in a general sense. We're still going to have to hope out for some of these fronts to get into the area to provide us the opportunity for a better chance for some rain. But in that 6 to 10 day time frame, it doesn't really look like it's going to be the case for us here, unfortunately. I mean, again, this is the time of the year that we have to really watch out for this dry weather to be sticking around a bit for the fire threat. And it appears like that is going to end up being the case. All right, go back to the temperatures here. Does anyone have any questions for me here? Again, watch out for a few storms coming in this evening. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a beautiful forecast. Let's go over here, just looking at current warnings. So again, if you guys are new to the channel, you can do a lot of different things on the fly here, which is, one thing as we get into storm season, be able to look at this stuff on the fly like this is going to be nice. A couple of special weather statements. The weather's going to get a little bit nastier here, but there's just not as much dynamics in the atmosphere as there was yesterday. Nice little spin, nice little rotation to that as well. And again, for our area, one more quick loop here of the visible satellite imagery. We'll see some clouds roll in later in the day, but for the next couple of hours, I expect nothing but sunshine out there. We looked at the cameras earlier. Should be absolutely beautiful. Okay, friends. It's a nice forecast. I think we're going to wrap up the show for today. I appreciate you guys. As always, CFLW The Show is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida. Hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Think anything that could impact you or your property. So hail damage, burst pipes, we'll get into hurricane season, been in an auto accident, they can help you. They walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. If you'd like to support someone who supports us here at CFLW and you want that more information, go to leanonmelaw.com. We appreciate Bobby Lee and the team there at Lean On Me Law being the exclusive sponsor of CFLW for the first half of 2025. Antonio, you're absolutely welcome. Have a great rest of your day. So again, I will see you guys Monday at 1 p.m. On Monday's show, here's what I expect. I expect there to be some warmer weather to come back in. We're going to be tracking, right, the heat for the first half of the week, but then that next front that's going to plunge our temperatures maybe around Easter. I don't want to give a lot away as of yet. There's still some things to kind of work out in the forecast, but will that bring us an opportunity for some rain? Yes, overall we're going to be dry, but that next front, when is that chance for the next showers and storms in your area? As always, you have a specific question, drop it in the comments. Thank you again as we leave for liking and subscribing. You got it, Blue Goose. Thank you, Antonio Sin. All appreciate you guys taking a quick second to let me know how you guys are doing. I really do appreciate those who spent a quick second to interact with me here in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your Friday. I'll keep an eye on the weather, but again, I expect just a few general thunderstorms to move in tonight. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys Monday at 1 o'clock for the next edition of CFLW The Show. Friends, take care.